Right, welcome back to the channel. So, another lesson on completing the square. We looked at how to do these last lessons, so where the coefficient there is bigger than 1, right? So we looked at like 2, I think 5, and I think another 2x squared. But this time what we're going to look at is how to then move it on to where you've got a negative coefficient of x. So you've got minus 1x squared over there, and then over here we've got like minus and some horrible looking decimal, but we'll come to that in a second. What we're going to do first is just have a quick recap and see how we complete the square where this coefficient is more than 1. So what do we do again? The first thing is we got to turn this part here into just an x squared. How are we going to do that? By factorizing out a 2. Now when we factorize out this 2, we only factorize it out of this part and we leave this minus 5 till the very end. So we'll have 2 on the outside and then x squared plus 3x. Like that there. And I'm going to put the minus 5 in. I'll just put it here in a little bubble. Now the inside of that is looking good. So what we're going to do here is complete the square for this part only. So we've got 2 open bracket. And then we have x, add half this coefficient, so 3 over 2 squared minus 3 over 2 all squared. And close that off. And then we've still got that minus 5 on the outside. So I'll pop it there. Next thing, just simplify what we've got in here. So 2 open bracket, then you've got x plus 3 over 2 squared. Take away 3 over 2 squared is 9 over 4. And then the minus 5 still on the outside. Last thing we need to do there is times through by the 2. So you've got 2 lots of this bracket. And then you need to do 2 multiplied by 9 over 4, which will give us 9 over 2. And then you still got the minus 5 on the outside there. Then we can just collect these 2 bits together. So we've got 2 lots of x plus 3 over 2 squared. And then minus 9 over 2 minus another 5. That's going to be minus 19 over 2. And there we go. That's how we leave that one. Now, when it comes to completing the square for something like this, it's actually almost identical to what we've done here. What I'm going to do is actually just fill in a 1 in front of there. So we've got minus 1x squared. And so what we want to do is turn it into just an x squared as we did over here. How do we do that? Well, we're going to factorize out a minus 1 from here. So minus 1 on the outside. And you open up your big square bracket again. And what we're going to do is leave this minus 4 on the end again. So I'm just going to pop that right on the end now and just leave it there. So now inside my bracket, what am I going to have? Well, this time I'll have just x squared and then minus 5x. So be careful, because if you're taking out a minus, the signs on the inside here are going to change. How do you check you've done it correctly? You could re-expand it. So you could do minus 1 times by x squared. That's minus 1x squared. Or you could do minus 1 times by minus 5x. And that gives you plus 5x. So you know you've done it correctly. Now, in here, we've got our coefficient of 1. So we can complete the square in there. So 1, and then we're going to have x minus half the coefficient of the x, and then minus 5 over 2 squared, like that there. And then you still pop that minus 4 on the end. We'll neaten up whatever's in the bracket here, so minus 1, and then we've got x minus 5 over 2 squared minus 25 over 4, and then you still got that minus 4 on the end. Next, just multiply through by that minus 1. So we'll have minus all of that bracket there. But then minus 1 times this, we'll change that to a plus 25 over 4. And then put in that minus 4 that was still on the end. Last thing we need to do is collect these 2 together. So you got x minus 5 over 2 squared. And then what's this here? Minus 4, so that'd be 16. So I think plus 9 over 4. I think that's the way that should be there. There's another way you could write it though. Sometimes you'll see it written like this, with the 9 over 4 first, because that's positive. So you don't really, start things off with the negative if you can rewrite it. So you can write it like this. That might be a slightly nicer way to put it. Now we've got one more to do just on the end there. Now, as you can see, it's kind of in a bit of a weird order. The x squared is right on the end. So don't panic. What are you supposed to do? Just rewrite it and bring the x squared to the front so it looks like this one. So very first thing is write it as minus 0.06 x squared plus 0.6x and then plus 5 on the end. Now it looks normal, so now we can complete the square. First thing to do, factorize out 0.06. And what's going to be left in that bracket? Put that plus 5 on the end. There it is. So we'll have a normal x squared. And then to find out what goes here, what could you do? Well, because you're taking out this minus 0.06, you could just type into your calculator 0.6 divided by minus 0.06. And that will tell you what goes in here. That should be, I think, minus 10x. And then what we can do is go and complete the square inside here again. So we've got minus 0.06 and then x minus 5, all squared. Take away 5 squared and then plus the 5 that's on the end. So we'll neaten up the inside. So that's just going to be 25 there. And then plus 5 on the end. And then we've got to times through by this. So that's minus 0.06 times by that bracket. And then plus, and then what is that? 25 times by that. 25 times 0.06. That comes out as just 1.5. Very nice. There we go. And then plus 5. And so to finish that all off, x minus 5 squared plus 6.5. Now again, what we could do is, because this starts with a minus, we could actually bring the 6.5 to the front. And so you could also write it like this, 6.5, take away 0.06, and then x minus 5 squared. So you can also write it like this too. And there we go. So that's how we complete the square when you've got a negative coefficient of x squared. So hopefully that all makes sense. And next time what we'll do is look at actually solving after you've completed the square.